Welcome to the Your Wedding Unlimited podcast, a space where we break free from tradition, creating a wedding day totally authentic to you and your love story. I'm Abby, UK wedding planner and owner of Elegance Unlimited, here to help you plan a wedding day that feels uniquely yours. Join me for planning tips and advice, endless inspiration, and a pocket full of calm within the chaos that is wedding planning. Consider me a trusted friend, here to walk you through it all. From injecting fun splashes of personality into your day, to reinventing tradition completely, all whilst focused on building a day bespoke to your dreams and desires. I cannot wait to get started, so let's get planning. Welcome to the very first episode of the Your Wedding Unlimited podcast. I am beyond excited to finally be sharing this with you. This has been in the works for a very long time and on my mind for even longer. So welcome. Thank you for joining me. Whoever you are, whatever you're here for, I am very grateful. This is the Your Wedding Unlimited podcast, guys. Okay, so I'm assuming you are here for one of a few reasons. Okay, now you may be someone who is in the midst of planning a wedding, planning a wedding sometime soon, or really hoping you get to plan a wedding sometime soon. Any of which is okay. And thank you so much for joining me and congratulations. Okay, because you are here for a reason. This is the wedding podcast of all wedding podcasts, I'm hoping. Okay, this is going to be a good one. And if you are here, it's going to be a good time. Now, if you are wondering if this is the right wedding podcast for you, because there are so many amazing wedding podcasts out there, so you might be thinking, well, what's different about this one? Why should I be listening to this one? Let me tell you, okay? Let me give you my little sales pitch and you can decide if you want to stick around, okay? This wedding podcast is for the fun weddings, okay? Now, obviously, every wedding is fun. Every wedding is beautiful. They are all incredible in their own way, but we plan a certain type of wedding around here, okay? We don't follow the traditions. We might follow some, we might twist them and make them our own. They are high energy, they're colorful, they're big, they're bold, they're fun. They are authentic. They might have a fun theme to them. We just do weddings our own way around here, okay? It's the your wedding your way kind of thing, okay? And with the Your Wedding Unlimited, this is literally anything you want, you can have. It's your wedding day, okay? So this podcast is here to guide you. We are going to do the inspiration. Of course, the inspiration is going to be scattered through all of what we do, but I do want to make this helpful for you as well. So we're going to have planning tips and advice and the how-tos and the checklists and the things that you should do and shouldn't do. And that's obviously going to be helpful, I hope. But we're going to incorporate ways to make it your own along the way and make it feel really authentic to you. When I work with any couple, I want them to walk into their wedding day, or any of their guests to walk into their wedding day and know exactly right then and there whose wedding they're at. I want it to feel exactly like it was made for you two as a couple. Okay, so that's my little ramble, just to tell you exactly what we're about. And actually, I haven't even introduced myself properly yet. So you're probably thinking, who is this woman rambling on as if she has any expertise whatsoever? Well, let me tell you. My name is Abby. I am a UK wedding planner. I own a business called Elegance Unlimited, hence the Your Wedding Unlimited podcast. They're kind of tied together a little bit. This is a space for me to share the knowledge that I know from planning weddings, owning a business, and being a part of the wedding industry, and wanting to help other couples planning their weddings get the exact wedding that they're hoping for too. That's the goal, ultimately. So I'm a wedding planner. I've got some knowledge in that area, okay? I can bring you some expertise, some knowledge. So trust me in that. Hopefully that fills you with some comfort. But I'm very excited to be here doing this podcast with you. So I'm not going to ramble on for much longer, okay? I want this to be helpful for you. I want it to be beneficial. We're going to get straight on into things today, okay? This is our first episode. We're going to ease ourselves in nicely. We're going to dip our toes into the water. Today's topic, we are going to be talking about how to plan for your wedding planning. Okay. And before I lose you, before you go, well, that's not a thing. Yes, it is. And I'll tell you why it is. Okay. You've got your wedding planning, and that's the thing. Okay. But my opinion is that you have to plan a little bit, prepare a little bit to dive into wedding planning. Okay. So let's talk about it. So if you asked me, why is it important to prepare before diving into wedding planning? Why can't I just start planning a wedding? You know, I'm engaged, I'm excited, I want to plan the wedding. Why can't I just do that? Of course you can. Plenty of people do that, okay? But the way that we're going to do it, if you're going to follow these steps, you are going to feel so much more prepared and confident going into that process. And it's going to feel so much smoother and so much more enjoyable because you've just ticked a couple of really simple things off the list before you get into it, okay? And these aren't difficult things that we're going to be talking about today. They're simple things, fun things that are just going to help you make that wedding planning process a bit easier. I think a lot of people dive straight into it. Of course you would, because you're so excited and you're on Pinterest and you're getting the inspiration, you're scrolling through Instagram and you're reaching out to people and you're making plans and you might even be booking things. And there might come a point where you think, oh, we've kind of hit a wall here with this, or we've hit something that we didn't plan for, or I'm clashing a bit with my partner because we're not agreeing on this. Okay. So this podcast episode, we're going to run through how to avoid all of these things. And there's 3 things that I want my couples that I work with particularly to feel whilst we're going through the wedding planning process. And I want you guys to feel the same way. Okay. So I call it the 3 C's. You want to be feeling confident, calm, and in control. Okay, the 3 C's. Of course, there are many other emotions and many other feelings that you are going to be feeling throughout the process and that I want you to be feeling, you know, the excitement and all of those things. But these are the 3 things, okay? And I want you to be feeling all of these things. If one of them is missing, or God forbid, all 3 of them are missing, something needs to change. Okay. So this process is just the first step in helping you feel confident, calm, and in control. And if you feel that way, you are going to get the wedding of your dreams. Promise. There are 4 things today we're going to talk about on preparing to kind of get stuck into this wedding planning process. Okay. So we'll get straight on into it now. Number 1, communication. Communication is so important. And if you ask me, as someone who works in the wedding industry, I don't think it's talked about enough. Anywhere near enough, to be quite honest with you. I see a lot of people talking about, you know, remembering why you're planning a wedding in the first place. Remember why you love each other when things get tough. Remember why you're doing it. That's great, but it's not really helpful, is it? It's not helpful at all. I think more talk needs to be talked about the communication side of things and having really strong, clear communication, not only with your partner, but with your suppliers, with your family and friends, and anyone else involved throughout that process. So the answer as to why is communication so important is because you set yourself up as you mean to go on. So if you are doing this before you dive into that wedding planning, you've got a plan for how things are going to go and you know exactly how you're going to handle things throughout that process. Okay. So there's one thing, if you are at the beginning stages of your wedding planning, if you have not yet started doing anything, or even if you have started planning, you're kind of in that depth, you can come back and do this, kind of strip things back and do this. But I'm going to give you a little task, okay? A little bit of homework, but it's fun homework. Okay, you're really going to enjoy it, I promise. You are going to set yourself or schedule in the calendar a pre-wedding planning date night. And it's fun, see, because it's a date night. So nothing can be miserable or homeworky or sad, like miserable about that. It's exciting. So your date night's going to go like this, okay? And I, you know, recommend this to my clients if they're right at the very beginning stages and they're kind of toying with a few ideas and they're, you know, talking about a few things, but they're not really sure where they're going to go. I set them this task, okay? You're going to book in the calendar a pre-wedding planning date night. Get in your favorite snacks, get in some drinks, get in, you know, whatever you would normally do on a nice little date night inside. Put some nice music on or like your favorite TV show in the background. And you're each going to get something to make some notes on, whether it's a notebook or you want to put it on a laptop or whatever. take 20 minutes. You can sit in the same room. It's not, no talking, really strict environment, but take 20 minutes each to write down on a piece of paper, on your notes app, wherever you want, the things that you want at your wedding, the things you want to get out of your wedding, the way you want to feel. You're going to basically make notes of everything you can think of that you would love in your wedding at this time. Okay. So it could be the type of venue you want. If you've seen certain suppliers, it could be the colors you want. It could be how you want to feel on the day. Anything that you've thought about, write it down. Okay. And once you've done that, then you're going to come back together and you're going to share those things. It's very simple. I'm not, we're not reinventing the wheel here. This is kind of basic stuff, but I think it's really important because not enough people have these conversations properly before they get into things. Okay. So as you're going through, you might find that there's a few things on the list that you've both written down exactly the same. Both want a wedding like in a barn. Both want the color pink to be involved. Both want a really big wedding with everybody that you've ever met to turn up, or both want a really small wedding, or you both want a live band. Anything. Okay, the things that you agree on, easy. Okay, that's the good stuff. Tick those off, put those on a separate list somewhere, forget about those for now because you don't need to worry about them. You both agree. Okay, the things that you disagree on, or the things that you've written down differently, you're going to talk about it now. Okay, so you're going to have a conversation. One of you's written down that you see yourself having a church wedding. The other one's written down that you want it in a field with a marquee in the middle of nowhere. Talk about it. Why do each of you want those things? Why do you feel that way? And where do you compromise? Okay, but because if you don't agree and kind of even out these things now at this point in time, you're going to really struggle later down the line. And I think this is where a lot of people, one person will go steaming ahead with the wedding plans, and then the other person's kind of like, oh, didn't really talk about that. I would have preferred this, or I would have preferred that. It's really important to remember that it's both of your days. It's for both of you. And maybe there's other suppliers out there that are happy to kind of just work with one person. It makes me really sad when I just work with one part of the couple. I want to speak to both of you. I want both of you involved. It's a joint effort. You're getting married to each other, not just one of you. So I want both of you involved. Okay. So this stuff is really, really important. Talk about it. One of you wants the live band. One of you would rather just play a Spotify playlist. How important is it to you? And can you compromise? Is your partner willing to say, oh, okay, yeah, if you really want a live band, we'll do it. Didn't think it was, I'm not that fussed, but if it's really important to you, then I'd love to do that. Talk about it and make notes of all these things as well. And what I want you to do whilst you're going through this list of things is I want you to each have a couple of non-negotiables for your wedding. Okay. They don't have to be agreed on together just yet, but when you're writing those initial notes, I want some non-negotiables. So for you, it might be, I want a custom made wedding dress from the specific place that I've, been dreaming of for years and years and years. It's expensive, but that's a non-negotiable for me. And your partner might be writing down that the live band, for example, is a non-negotiable, or the formal sit-down meal. They want that 3-course dinner. They're not fussed. They don't really want a really chilled, laid-back buffet style dinner. They have to have that formal dinner. Okay. You each need to have your non-negotiables, and again, talk about them. If they're the same non-negotiables, amazing. Easy. That's what we want. If they're different, talk about them. And it's okay to have different ones. You can have non-negotiables for each other. You might have your non-negotiable might be your dress, your partner's might be the live band. Okay. That's fine. But what you need to do is agree on those non-negotiables together, because these are going to be the things that you prioritize in your planning going forward. They might be the things that you put more money into, more time into. They might be that you have to have specific suppliers, so you'll book them way, way, way in advance, which I'd always recommend, by the way. Don't leave things last minute. It's a really, really important thing to talk about. Okay. Your non-negotiables is what's going to make your day feel amazing, feel like it's yours, feel personal, feel like the best day of your life. Obviously, there's so many other factors that go into it, don't get me wrong. But What you don't want is to not get the things that you really want, or for your partner to get the things they really want and think, oh, the day was amazing. Like, it was so, so amazing. So glad that we're married. Really, really wish that I'd had that live band though. Like, that would have just, that would have like topped it off, been absolutely amazing. I don't want those feelings, okay, if we can avoid them. Obviously, there's compromise along the way, and other factors come into things like budget and, the size of your wedding and the time that you have. I understand that. But we're talking about this on a very, very beginning stages level where anything is possible, okay? We're not ruling anything out at this stage. We're not booking people and confirming things and saying, yeah, we're definitely going to book this person. We're just talking about it, okay? It's date night. We're having a conversation, okay? And I really, really love this activity because it gets you both involved and both talking about things as well that you might have talked about before, but kind of in passing. Oh, look at this person on Instagram. Like, when you're seeing things and scrolling and you're kind of, oh, that's good. Yeah, we'll remember that. But this is now when you get to actually talk about it in a serious way. And I think that's really fun. So that's the date night, really. And from there, when you've got these notes and, the things that you both want to kind of, you're happy to go ahead with, and the things that you maybe you need to talk about things some more at a later time, but now and one of you isn't going to go ahead and go and book certain things and find quotes for certain things that one of you isn't interested in, or neither of you are interested in. You might be assuming that you both really want the live band, and actually when you talk about it, you don't. There's other things you'd rather prioritize. So it's a really important conversation to have. I'll always recommend it. And also it's fun. Any excuse for a date night, right? So that's step number 1 in a nutshell. And, communication, again, we'll talk about it so much more as we go through these episodes. I know that because it's key for me. Communication is key for me with my clients, but key for you as a couple as well, and with the people around you. So important. So we will definitely talk about that some more. But if you're just, at the beginning stage of a planning and just getting started, plan a date night. Okay. You won't regret it. And it also kicks up that excitement if you've kind of been engaged for a little while and the engagement bubbles maybe popped and you're thinking, oh my God, now we have to plan a wedding. This is going to make it feel really fun for you. And if it doesn't, it makes you feel overwhelmed, then try not to let it. Just try to enjoy it. Okay. It's not supposed to be stressful. It's supposed to be fun. Now, the second thing that you need to do before you dive into your wedding planning is set a budget. And I can almost hear the groans from here of everybody going, oh, money. I know, I'm sorry. But I talk about budget a lot because it's really, really important. And you've got to pay for your wedding somehow. Okay. And the best way to go forwards with that and to, to go ahead and handle it in the best way is to plan and plan ahead. So many people and couples that I've worked with as well don't plan, or God forbid, don't even have a budget in the first place. They're like, yeah, we spend what we spend. That makes me feel sick. That makes me feel truly unwell. Please don't do that. Please don't be one of those people. Please set a budget and please have some kind of number that you're working with. Please don't just pull things out of the air and really not think about things. I mean, if you're fortunate enough that you don't have to think about money in that way, congratulations. You must be doing very well. But it makes me stressed when people just don't have any clue about money. And the reason that it's so important when it comes to planning a wedding is because your budget sets the foundation for the entire wedding. The entire wedding, the whole planning journey is set around your budget, the type of things that you can afford, how many people you can even have at your wedding, everything. It affects everything. That dress that you've been dreaming of forever, can you afford it? Well, you need to know. You need to have a budget to know if you can afford it. There's so many things that, don't get me started on a rant about budget, and we will dive into plenty of episodes breaking down budgets and how to track certain things and do certain things. But for now, just know that you need to set a budget, okay? You're going to ask yourself 3 questions when you are setting your budget. And you could do this on the date night if you want to, if you have some time, or you could do it a different night. It's good to start talking about as soon as you can before you start looking for quotes and researching suppliers and, even booking people. It's really good to have that conversation way before that. So you're going to ask yourself 3 questions, okay? And you can do this separately and then bring it together again like we did in the date night task. Question number 1, how much do you want to spend? So you might pull a number out of the air and think, I want to spend £40,000. Fine. Question number 2, how much can you afford to spend? So this is when that nice number that you've just pulled out of the air, you sit down and you think, okay, realistically, how much can we afford to spend as a couple? What have we got? What can we save? How much can we afford to spend? And then question number 3, once you've got this number that you've refined down, maybe you've brought it down from 40 to 30, do you have that money already, or do you need to keep saving? Okay. If you've got the money already, you've got that 30 grand, amazing. Crack on. Set your budget and be off with it. If you don't have that money yet, then do you need to keep saving? Okay. And how long is it going to take you to save that money? If you need to save another £10,000, but you've broken it down and realized, okay, we can save this much per month. So to save that extra £10,000, it's going to take us 4 years. Oh, but we wanted to get married in 2 years. Are we willing to wait 4 years? Ask yourselves the questions. If you're not willing to wait 4 years, you really want to get married in 2 years. Well, how much can you save in 2 years? Maybe our budget's now £25,000. Okay. Or £27,000 or wherever it might be. Are we happy with that? Or do we, it's all about tossing up, what you're happy with, compromising. Again, weddings are all about compromise, and it's not the most fun word to use, but it is about compromise. I think when you have a big vision and then putting it into reality is a very different thing. Okay, so be open to compromise, be open to change. It doesn't mean your wedding day is going to be crap. Okay, it doesn't mean your wedding day is going to be any less amazing. I can promise you that, for starters. Okay, there are an infinite number of things you can do to make your wedding day personal and magical and whatever on a slightly lower budget than you thought you were going to have. It's all about planning. But yeah, have that talk together. What are you happy with spending? Are we there yet? Do we need to save? Have we got enough time to save all that money? Or should we bring the budget down to a lower, more realistic number? What I don't want you to do is focus on this, how much you think you should spend. Oh, well, people seem to be spending this much, so we should be spending this much. Or our friends spent this much, so we should be spending that much. It's nobody else's business but your own, okay? Make it realistic for you. Do not put yourself into debt. Do not be getting yourself stuck in like dangerous money situations because you're just pulling and trying to find money from anywhere. I don't want that situation for you. Now, don't get me wrong. You will get zero judgment from me if you decide to take out a loan for your wedding, or you do spend too much and you're struggling. You're not going to get judgment from me for that. Okay, you're human. I get it. It's your wedding day, but I'm here to try and prevent those things from happening. Okay, so if you're catching this at the right time, consider this a sign. You do not need to spend your life savings and a kidney on getting the wedding of your dreams. There are other ways. Okay. So make it realistic. Again, we will talk about budget on a much deeper level. I love talking about budget. People hate it, but I love talking about budget because when you've got an organized budget and things are going well, everything is just smooth. Everything feels better. Okay. And we know from living our day-to-day lives that if we're not handling our money well and we're worried about money, everything feels a bit icky and everything feels a bit horrible. That's the last feeling that we want at your wedding day. So at the bare minimum, at this point in time, set yourself a budget before you start planning. We'll talk about it again another time. We'll dive into it again soon, budget stuff. The third thing that you are going to do before you dive into your wedding planning is get yourself organized. And by that, I mean choose your method, choose your weapon of organization, okay? Do you like a classic notebook and pen? Buy yourself one of those really nice like binders and books off Etsy or something where they're just like, that's so beautiful. And you can't beat a classic pen and paper if you ask me. I'm a handwritten list gal, so I get it. Maybe you're a list person with your nice notebook. Maybe you have your documents online. You've got your Google Drives, you've got your Word documents, whatever, your spreadsheets. Maybe you're that kind of person. Fine. Maybe you are a wedding app person. There are so many wedding apps out there now, and I don't know enough about any of them to make a specific recommendation, but do some Googling, look at some reviews, try some out for yourself. I know some of them you may have to pay for actually. So yeah, worth doing some research into, but you might prefer the wedding app where you can do some of them. You can even send out like RSVP reminders or track your RSVPs and send out like the invitations that way, with QR codes, or link it to a wedding website or things like that. So there's all sorts of different things you can do. But choose your method and make it easy for you to use. Talk about it with your partner. Again, communication. But if you are the kind of person that wants this really heavy duty detailed, complex spreadsheet and your partner is like, I am overwhelmed by that, they just want a simple to-do list, then make it work for both of you. Okay, maybe you get the spreadsheet and then you're breaking it down into smaller lists for your partner to kind of be able to easily digest. Remember that you want it to be easy, you don't want to overcomplicate it. Don't get something that's going to make you feel more stressed. We want to simplify that process. So yeah, just choose one, and then once you've chosen one, keep track of everything, every single little thing. So you want it to be something that you want to keep using, a method that you really like, because everything's going to go in there. The littlest things are going to go in there because you're going to forget them. So we want it somewhere that we can come back to. Okay. And having this method in place from the very beginning means that you're not going to forget things that you did first. And then, 2 months into your planning, you finally decide what you're going to use and all of your information's in kind of multiple places. We don't want that. Okay. I'm telling you, we don't want that. So choose a method, find one you like, and yeah, get rolling with it. And this time before the wedding planning really starts is always when I recommend setting up a wedding email address as well. I recommend that to everyone. I think they're amazing. You know how messy an email address gets, don't you? Like the email account. My emails, if I don't tag them with the right color or put them in the right folder, it's game over. They are disgusting. They're so messy. There's so much coming in. You get so much stuff, and you've got your Boots points coming in over here, and your John Lewis discounts over this way, and I don't know, your Marks and Spencers. These are the only places I can think of that might email you. Anything you've subscribed to, you get emails to every day, hundreds of them. Okay. How do you expect yourself to track all of your wedding plans from that email address? You're not gonna. And you might do it 90% correct, and then you're going to miss a few things. Okay. So the easiest thing to do is to set up a new email address and keep all of your wedding admin in that space. And it's easy to find. And you can delete it once the wedding's over and get rid of it. But during the planning process, it's going to make your life 100,000 times easier. So definitely do that. And set off as you mean to go on again by scheduling in regular wedmin nights. Nice little wedding admin nights or sessions. Maybe it's an evening every week or every 2 weeks that you and your partner schedule in the calendar to sit down, or it's at the weekends, on a Sunday night or a Saturday afternoon, whenever, but schedule those in and, do that as you mean to go on. So you've got regular time to sit down and talk about your wedding plans. And what this means is that it doesn't take over your life. Okay. As much as you might want it to at the beginning, a few months down the line or the closer the wedding gets, you are going to think, oh my God, all we do is talk about weddings and every day I'm doing wedding stuff and it's just too much. We don't want that. You might think you do, but you don't. We want to keep it organized. Organization, that's what we're talking about. So schedule them in, try and keep your little homework sessions for your wedding, and it just helps you to feel so much more in control. Remember the 3 C's: confident, calm, control. Helps you to feel in control. And when you feel in control, you feel confident, and when you feel confident, you feel calm. They all connect. Okay, they're all linked to each other. And step number 4, the fourth thing you're going to do, links kind of back to communication again, is to set boundaries. Okay, so this is the last thing you're going to do before I'm ready to set you off into the world of planning a wedding. You're going to set some boundaries. So it does link back to communication and kind of having that open conversation as well. Also helps you to stay confident, calm, and in control. Boundaries are so important. Boundaries, and when I say boundaries, I mean boundaries with you and your partner, boundaries with, we've talked about organization when you're working, keeping boundaries in place so that it doesn't take over your life, boundaries with, other people, friends and families, boundaries with suppliers, anything. Okay. And it doesn't have to be a dramatic, like I'm setting my boundaries. It's just about helping you feel in control. Okay. And everything's much nicer when you feel in control. So you might ask yourselves questions like, what do we expect from each other? Okay, during the planning process, me and my partner, who is in charge of what? Do we have specific roles? Do we have something that one of us is going to take the lead on? One of us is going to take charge of contacting venues and doing things like that. Maybe the other person's going to be in charge of keeping track of the budget and payments and making sure they're all paid on time. And the other person's doing all the research and finding the options to bring back and talk to each other about. Set boundaries like that. Open communication to make sure that you both know you're on the same page and it's important to you. And if you come to a time where there's a disagreement, I don't want you to start resenting the wedding planning process or getting stressed with each other. So what are your boundaries for that? How are you going to express to each other that you're feeling stressed about the wedding process? How are you going to, express to each other that actually I'm feeling really overwhelmed and I need XYZ right now, rather than a debate about what we should do, rather than debating as I want this, I want this, and I want this, yeah, but I want this. Put a boundary in place so that you can have that conversation that helps things stay nice and calm. Okay. I'm not a therapist, but I just think having a conversation and talking things through is so underrated and so important when it comes to wedding planning. And similarly, you might talk about the ways, how are we both going to ensure that we get the wedding that we want? How are we both going to ensure that this is the day of our dreams? Think about your non-negotiables again, the things that you absolutely have to have at your wedding day. Are you both getting a fair share in that? Other ways to set your boundaries. How are you going to handle the opinions of others? Okay. Not everybody is fortunate enough to have super supportive friends and family, which is a real shame. Or, maybe they're supportive, but they just don't know when to get their nose out, stop being so opinionated and telling you, you have to do this and you have to do that. And I don't like this and you shouldn't do that. And you don't look good in that. And this is going to look ugly. How are we going to handle those? Okay. Have we got something that's just going to help us protect our peace in that process? Family and friends, or suppliers. Sometimes you get a pushy supplier, which is a shame, but how are you going to handle that as a team, as a duo? All about protecting your peace. Really, really important. And one really important thing that I think should be talked about when it comes to setting your boundaries, and making sure that you're both on the same page as a couple, is asking each other, will you be accepting any money that is offered from family for the wedding? So, if you're fortunate to have family that want to offer money towards the wedding, to take that kind of financial load off of you as a couple, will you be accepting that? And you might sit there and think, well, obviously, because it's free money, I'm going to take it because it's going to make it cheaper for us. Great, that's fine. But I always ask people to consider the repercussions of that. So does accepting money from your parents, for example, come with the condition that they get a say on what that money goes towards? So if they're paying for your flowers and you say, we're doing this, this, and this, and they say, oh, no, you don't want this, we're going to do this, and we're paying for it. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. And it happens more than you'd think. Is the condition that they get to bring some of their own friends to the wedding because they're paying for some of it. Fine. That might not bother some people. Other people might think, well, actually, I don't want mum's friends at my wedding or strangers that I've not seen in 20 years at my wedding because it's my wedding day. I actually just want the people that I love the most and that love me the most there. It's not kind of a show and tell for my mum and dad to bring all their mates along to kind of show me off. That might be something that's not for you, and that's fine, but have that conversation. If accepting the money is going to come with conditions that you're not comfortable with, set the boundary and agree on it together. Have a conversation about it, because that can be a really, really tough point of tension that can crop up later down the line if you haven't planned for how you're going to handle that. Okay. So maybe it's agreeing that, yes, we'll accept money, but only if the money is a gift and we get to do whatever we want with it. As long as it doesn't affect the decisions that we're able to make, we are more than happy to accept money and we will be very grateful. On the other hand, you might not be happy with those and you might politely decline because it just doesn't sit with, having the wedding for your dreams. Money isn't everything, any time in life, but particularly when it comes to weddings. I know that they can be expensive and they are a luxury. It's a real privilege to be able to have a wedding, and any extra money you can take is going to help. But please don't think that your wedding's going to be over because you put $5,000 less of a budget into it because you don't accept your dad's contribution, kind of thing. Hope you get my gist from that. But that's the main thing. And those are the 4 steps, guys. Those are the 4 things I'd recommend you do before you dive into wedding planning. So I'll do a quick roundup for you so we can remember everything that we've talked about in this episode today, just in case you're making notes at home and you want to, highlight the important bits. So key takeaways from today. Don't forget the 3 C's. Okay. We want you to feel confident, calm, and in control. If you're feeling all 3, you are on your merry way. If you're missing 1, something's missing. If you're missing 2 or 3 of them, really strip things back and think about why you're feeling that way and how do we bring that back. Okay. 4 things you are going to do before diving into your wedding planning is number 1, communication. Plan yourself a little pre-wedding planning date night. Talk about the things you want, talk about the things you don't want, talk about your non-negotiables, the things that are really important to you, and just compare where you're both at with that process before you dive into it. Really get on the same page. Number 2, set a budget. Do not plan anything, do not book anything, do not pass go until you've set a budget. It sets the foundation for the entire wedding day, and it's so, so important. Number 3, organization. Choose your method, a pretty wedding book binder, your spreadsheets and your documents, a wedding planning app, whatever method you choose one, stick to it, do it really, really well, and track everything. Don't forget that you can set up a wedding email as well. Schedule yourself some Wedmin nights to focus on your wedding planning so that it doesn't take over your entire life, but keep yourself organized and keep yourself to a really nice routine. And number 4 is to set boundaries. Communicate with your partner about how you're going to handle things that crop up through the wedding planning process, how you're going to handle tension, how you're going to handle any issues, how you're both going to make sure you get the wedding of your dreams. And importantly, are you going to be accepting money from anyone that offers it? And how will that affect the wedding that you get? All of these things are really important to talk about. But once you've worked your way through these 4 steps, you should be feeling ready to start diving into that wedding planning, and you should be feeling confident, calm, and in control. Now, I want to know, are you going to be taking these 4 steps when it comes to planning your own wedding? If you're just getting into things now and you're not sure where to start, this is a really good point. So I would love to know. Send me a DM, pop me an email. You can find all of the information in the show notes. I would love to hear from you and find out how the beginning stages of your wedding planning are going. If you're already in the depths of wedding planning and you didn't do this, let me know. Let me know how that's been going for you. And don't forget that you can always strip it back and put these things in place later down the line. It's not too late. You can kind of bring it back and, take back that control, help yourself feel, more organized and more kind of ready to go with things. It's not too late. Now, don't forget that this is not homework, okay? I'm not a teacher. This is not a demand. This is just my advice from a wedding planner working in the industry who's seen it and done it. Just my advice to help you along the way. So let me know if it is helpful for you and how things go for you when you do that. If this was helpful for you on our very first episode of the Your Wedding Unlimited podcast, by the way, just a reminder for that, the first one, how exciting. I would love for you to leave a little review or some feedback. If it's been good for you, it would mean the absolute world. And it's really going to help me to grow this podcast and help me find the right people, more people like you. So that would be amazing if you so wish. Now, I will be back next Wednesday with another episode. So I hope you'll come back. It's going to be a good one. And let me know if there's anything specific you want me to talk about in future episodes. I'm all up for hearing that as well. So definitely pop me a message about that too. But until next week, I will see you then and have a good one. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Your Wedding Unlimited podcast. I hope you're feeling inspired and excited to create your dream wedding day and those lasting memories. Don't forget to hit that follow or subscribe button so you never miss an episode. I'll be back next Wednesday with more tips, advice, and inspiration. In the meantime, don't be a stranger. Come and find me on Instagram and TikTok at Your Wedding Unlimited, where I share even more wedding ideas and behind-the-scenes insights. You can also watch these episodes on YouTube at Your Wedding Unlimited. And if you're looking for even more support, come and join my private Facebook group, Your Wedding Unlimited. It's an amazing community of fun and authentic engaged couples, packed with extra tips, advice, and insights to guide you along your journey. If you have any questions or need more info, you can DM me or send me an email at yourweddingunlimitedpodcast@gmail.com. All links and details will be in the show notes. Until next time, happy planning!